Hey guys, Ben here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about knowing when it's time to pivot your business. So a pivot just means basically moving from where you are now into a slightly different angle, finding a different way of executing. You look at people like PayPal, they've done this really successfully. They started off as an application for, I think it was Palm Pilots and sending money around. Obviously they pivoted PayPal into the beast that it is today. You know how successful that is, and I think this just shows what a good strategy this can be. So without further ado, let's get into the 3 ways in which you need to pivot your business. So idea number 1 is you've tried a new idea, a new service, a new product, and it's not working. It's just not resonating properly, it's not bedding in, it's just not having the uptake that you would like. You need to look at that service or product and how you pivot that into a slightly different market, a slightly different application. And by tweaking and kind of moving the target audience or the use for it or how it's applied, you can often find a way of tapping in to a bit of a different section of that market. So if you are getting some sales, look at where it's being purchased and why, the applications it's being used for, and then find a way to move it more into that slice of the market. Idea number 2, if you find that your income is gradually declining, you're finding it harder and harder, you've kind of gone through the, gaining, growing and growing and growing, and things have started to slip. You've been looking at the landscape, you're looking at the market, you can't see any major changes, just might mean that demand is dropping, can be a whole host of other things as well. But basically, if you are seeing your income dropping, it could indicate a good time to try and pivot your service or, look at what's working, what's not, try and double down on what is working and remove what isn't. And that can be a very good pivot in that circumstance. And idea number 3 is when the industry has changed. Following on from point 2, really, the industry's become saturated. You've got a lot more players in the industry. You need to find almost like that blue ocean. A pivot can be really useful then to find the real strengths in your offering and what really kind of excels over the competition. Find a way to almost create this new blue ocean in which you can double down on the factors in your service or product that work really well, that you can do better than your competition. Try and get rid of the stuff that people aren't so worried about. Double down on the good stuff, which means that it will make it more profitable. You can invest more in that, and that can often set you ahead of your competition and just enable you to kind of pivot an existing product or service into just a slightly different section of that market again, and you can find that you can then basically capitalize on that. Ultimately, with all 3 of these tips, you need to basically look at what you're doing and understand whether you proceed, whether you pivot, or whether you restart. So you proceed with what you're doing, it's working, it's not really working that well, not having the uptake that you wanted, in which case you need to pivot, or ultimately it's been a total disaster, it's not worked at all, and you need to effectively scrap what you're doing and restart again, which can sometimes be the most painful of them. In most situations, you are able to kind of pivot and find the bits that are working and double down on that. I hope you found this helpful. I would love to know if you have recently executed a pivot of your services or products and how you've done that successfully, what the outcomes were. So hit me up in the comments below and let me know.